We're Man vs. Meeple, and for February 27th through March 12th, this is What's Next.
Welcome back to What's Next, the bi-weekly show where David and I walk you through all the games coming to your friendly local gaming store. Make sure you guys watch the ticker below because there is a whole slew of games coming out
Absolutely.
at your retail locations. David, why don't you start us off with number 5?
So number 5 this week is a game called Pyramids. This is from Yellow. It is a 2 to 5 player. It's kind of a unique game.
Okay.
You're taking some action cards to basically build pyramids, build tombs, and build obelisks.
Okay.
So there's these action cards out on the table, numbered 1 through 4, and they'll allow you to do different things on your turn. And then there's all these cards that you're using to basically stack and sort of stagger to build your pyramids and your obelisk, and then you put them face down in your tomb. You're basically doing this for 10 rounds, and then there's scoring on each of those different structures. And there's all sorts of different scoring that's going on. You're tracking the longest run of colors in your pyramids. You're looking for majority in your obelisk. And then there's some sort of secret scoring, of course, when you're putting cards face down in your tomb. No one knows what you're stacking in there. And
Interesting.
There's some points to score there. This is a filler game.
Uh-huh.
I would say a great game to play with all those other pyramid games out there. I mean, there's a lot of games with pyramids in them.
And we'll cover another one.
And we'll cover another one. It would be a great night to have that and this as a filler. This is like
Sure.
a 30-minute game tops. You can really burn through this. It's a nice little light game that involves pyramids for sure.
My number 4 is a game that it comes from a PC genre, a genre that I have been following for years. I've been an avid video gamer for a long time, played games like Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale. This is taken from an isometric RPG that came out 2 to 3 years ago from Obsidian Entertainment, a video game creator.
Yep.
And it's called Pillars of Eternity. It did massive sales for Kickstarter, did really well in the gaming community. People really loved it. And they're coming out with their own card game that's built off of the same universe, so to speak. Now, this is a city building game in which you'll be going out and hiring heroes and building buildings and going on quests. The unique portion about it, 2 things that really stuck out to me. One was the fact that the resource management in the game, you'll be pulling resources out of a bag in order to employ these different locations in your tableau. But the resources that you don't use will go to the next player in turn order. So they'll also be able to use those resources if you don't use all of them. The other portion is it can be played solo play. It can be played cooperatively in teams. It can be played competitively where every player can not only go into a dungeon location or into the wilderness, but they can also attack other people's buildings in order to keep them powered down, right? And then you can also play it in a PvE environment where you're not attacking other players. So if you don't like that, take that confrontational aspect to it, you can play it in that way as well.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of these types of games, the card games like this, always include now a solo option. And I think this is the kind of game that will get some play on the solo front, I think, as well.
Absolutely. You have number 3.
Number 3, back to Egypt. And this time we're talking about Amun-Re. And this is a game, this is from Tasty Minstrel Games.
Yep.
It is a 3 to 5 player game that revolves heavily around auctioning. But what I really want to talk about here is this is a classic game. I think it came out in 2003.
A long time ago. 14 years ago.
Reiner Knizia. And this is a very nice, updated, cosmetically game that TMG's done this a few times now.
Yeah.
They did it with Colosseum recently, now with this.
They just also re-released At the Gates of Longing. I don't think they had any cosmetic changes, but the fact that they're getting these older games back onto the market is
Getting them back onto the market is one thing, and then when they're doing things like this and really updating the look, the box on this is beautiful, the new components are beautiful, the pyramids in here are really fantastic.
Yeah, they have that marble texture look to them as well.
It's really nice. And the game itself, I'm not a big fan of auction games, but the auction in this works really well. It's similar to Stockpile, which we've played, and of course this preceded that.
Right.
But it's got that auction mechanic where you can go to different locations, and if someone outbids you, you're bumped, and you have to go to another location.
Yeah.
And then you can come back and get there. If you're bumped yet again.
Right.
But then the really cool thing is you're basically auctioning towards getting some locations in Egypt, and then there's this offering phase, which is really the cool aspect of the game. In the offering phase, you take the total amount of money that people are putting in towards the offering, and that's going to dictate what scores.
Right.
Because there's these different tiles that allow you to score your different plots of land, and the different plots of land can be evolved. And then you kind of rinse and repeat. I mean, literally, you lose all those lands, and you're auctioning for lands again. but the pyramids that have been built stay out there. So some of those lands stay a little sweeter, if you
Right.
will, in terms of the scoring that can happen.
Right.
Very cool game. Excellent update for
And
this.
good for TMG for bringing these games back.
Yeah.
Now if they can just get a Castles of Burgundy.
Oh, that's the one I
We've
want
been
out there
asking
for
it
sure.
for that one for a while. You have number 2 as well, and this is a game that we played a lot of recently.
Number 2, we played this at a con recently, and we played it last week. We did even a review of it. This is Topia.
Right.
And this game, a very different game for us, but from Asmodee, this is a 2 to 6 player game that is a party game.
Yeah.
But it is a party game that makes you think really hard.
Right.
And very quickly.
Right.
You know, you're laying these cards down. There's a variety of different puzzles. You flip them over, and the first person who thinks they can solve it literally slams their hand down on top of the card, and then doesn't take their hand off of it because they have to answer it while their hand's covering it.
Right.
So the game here is looking at a maze really quickly, for example, and going, you get to point B, you know, or looking at a picture and of all different icons and telling how many of your which one was paired off or how many there was the most of, things like that. It's a really fun game because when you're failing, you know, you fail half the time.
Right.
You know, you slam your hand down and you're like, B. No, it's C. You know, there's a lot of really cool puzzles. And the really interesting thing is one of the puzzles is a texture-based puzzle. Everyone familiarizes themselves with these pictures that have textures on the cards. And interestingly enough, the textures are very different across all of the cards. So there's one of the puzzles where someone's picking up a card and having to remember and recall from the beginning of the game what they looked at and what it felt like. Very, very cool game. And it's all, I think it's like $15. It's an easy pickup
Great
for
price
sure.
point, for sure. I have number 1.
Yeah,
and
what
this
is number
one is,
1?
I'll just go right into it. It's Vikings Gone Wild. This is based off a very popular iOS app.
Yep.
And it is a deck building game. Some unique things are going on in this one, though. It is a competitive deck building game. You are drafting these Vikings, either buildings that will go into your tableau and that will stay permanent and allow you to get more resources or do special benefits throughout the game. But you're also attacking other people, trying to get victory points. What's really cool, though, is there's a bluffing aspect in the attacking. From turn to turn, like most deck building games, you are drafting cards, putting them into your deck. But typically, once you're done using your hand, you throw those cards away. In this game, you can keep some of them. Some of those cards are defensive cards.
Right.
So you can bluff and have people think that you have defensive cards in them, which can really hurt the other player at the table, but sometimes they're not. So people are taking a chance if they want to attack you. And there's also a ton of expansions coming out within the next couple months for this one as well.
Yeah, and it's gorgeous artwork. We had a chance to play this last year at BGG Con and had a lot of fun with it. It's a really pretty looking game. And yeah, like you said, that interesting that the aspect where you're attacking, there's a downside to attacking. And that's why when your opponent has those cards in their hand, you really got to question whether or not you want to attack.
So guys, go make sure you guys pre-order all these games from your friendly local gaming store. We also have a store.
We have a friendly local gaming store to feature, as we always do. This time it is Legendary Games in Lexington, Kentucky, not too far away from us.
Not at all.
Probably a little long of a drive for us to go down there and buy anything. But if you're around the area, you should definitely check them out. This place, I mean, they've checked off all the boxes too. You know, this is a trend you'll see with this show. They have a clean store. It's a well-organized store, very friendly employees, and they really welcome just all types of gamers. Now, with that said, they boast one of the best selections of Magic singles, so they're very heavy into the Magic the Gathering scene.
Yeah.
And
as most stores are, anyway.
Most stores are, but they are distinctly proud of that fact. They also just love to have fun. I mean, these people, they send us a lot of pictures.
Right.
And they'll have nights where they're dressing up, you know, a themed Magic night where they're all dressing up, you know, in zombies or steampunk. And they really get into it. In fact, there's some of the photos they sent us, they actually had a bounce house inside their store.
That's hilarious.
In their play area. You know, for there were adults bouncing in a bounce house in their play area. So it's a really cool store, and that's what I like. The whole board gaming community, really good people, and a lot of like to have fun, and this is a perfect example of that. They're just really friendly people that have fun in every way, shape, and form that they can. So
Absolutely.
Check out Legendary Games in Lexington, Kentucky if you're in the area for sure.
If you guys want to make sure that your store is focused on our show. Make sure you guys email Dave and I or visit us on our Facebook page,
Please.
and we'll get you entered in to the system. Make sure you guys come back in 2 weeks. We'll have more games to focus on. I know we'll be at Gamma in the next 2 weeks.
We will be at Gamma, but there will be plenty of games to be covered for
So
sure.
if you're a publisher, come introduce yourselves to us if you haven't met us
Absolutely.
before, and we will catch you guys in 2 weeks here at What's Next.
Bye-bye.